Once upon a time, not too far into the future, humans were alone in the universe. They looked up at the stars and wondered if they were truly by themselves. Then came the day when everything changed. A powerful alien race known as the Zilari made first contact with Earth. They had been watching quietly for centuries, studying humanity from afar. When they finally revealed themselves, it was not with weapons or threats, but with an invitation. "Join us," they said. "You are ready." That invitation led to the greatest moment in human history. Earth became a member of the Galactic Council. The Galactic Council was like a giant space parliament. It was made up of hundreds of intelligent species from across the galaxy. Some were ancient, some were young, but all followed the same rules: no war between members, peaceful trade, and mutual respect. Earth was the youngest member. Many on the Yao Council saw humans as loud, emotional, and unpredictable, but others saw something else: potential. Humans were different. They could think fast, adapt quickly, and come up with solutions that other species hadn't even considered. Where older civilizations moved slowly, weighed down by tradition and caution, humans leaped forward without fear. At first, Earth didn't have much power in the Council. Their voice was small, but over the years, humans proved themselves again and again. They solved diplomatic crises that had lasted centuries. They built technology that amazed even the most advanced aliens. They formed alliances with species that had never spoken before. Slowly but surely, humans began to rise. One name stood out among them all: Ambassador Lila Voss. Lila wasn't born into politics. She started her life as a scientist, studying how alien biology worked. Her curiosity and boldness made her famous across Earth. When the chance came to represent humanity in the Galactic Council, she was chosen without hesitation. She was smart, calm under pressure, and unafraid to speak the truth, even when it upset others. In one of her early speeches, she said, "We know we're new here. We know we make mistakes. But we also learn quickly. And we believe in progress, not just for ourselves, but for everyone." Her words struck a chord. Some species admired her honesty. Others saw her as a threat, because while humans rose, many of the older races began to feel left behind. A new kind of tension. For thousands of years, the Galactic Council had been ruled by a few powerful species: the Zilari, the Tharnax, the Yulari. These were the giants of the galaxy. They had shaped the laws, controlled the trade routes, and decided who got what. But now, a new player had entered the game. Humans weren't just asking for a seat at the table. They wanted to help build a new one. They proposed new ways of doing things. They questioned old traditions. They pushed for faster decisions and more freedom for smaller planets. To some, this was exciting. To others, it was dangerous. Behind closed doors, whispers grew louder. Some council members started saying that humans were moving too fast, that they didn't understand the balance of the galaxy, that their emotions made them unstable. "There is a reason," said one elder from the planet Korath, "that only the oldest species should lead." Lila heard those words. She didn't argue. She simply smiled and said, "Then maybe it's time for the galaxy to change." The first real test. It wasn't long before humans faced their first major test in the Galactic Council. A crisis erupted near the edge of known space. A powerful energy storm was destroying entire star systems. No one knew why it was happening, until a team of human scientists figured it out. They discovered that the storm wasn't natural. It was being caused by a massive alien machine buried deep inside a dying star. The machine had been activated by mistake during mining operations. If it wasn't stopped, the storm would keep growing and swallow entire worlds. The council met in emergency session. Most species wanted to isolate the area and let the storm burn itself out, but Lila disagreed. "If we wait, millions will die," she said. "We can stop this. We must try." Some laughed. Others rolled their eyes. But then, a human pilot named Commander Jax Renner stepped forward. He volunteered to lead a mission into the heart of the storm. Alongside a small crew of scientists and engineers, he flew straight into the danger zone. What happened next became legend. Using a risky plan, developed by Earth's brightest minds, Renner and his team managed to shut down the machine. The storm faded within hours. Billions of lives were saved. When they returned, the council gave them a standing ovation. Even the doubters had to admit, humans were different. Respect and fear. After that mission, humans earned more respect than ever before. They were invited to more meetings, given more responsibilities. Some even started calling Earth the rising star of the galaxy, but not everyone was happy. Some species began to worry. If humans kept growing stronger, what would happen to the old order? Secret meetings were held, plans were made. Quiet conversations turned into quiet warnings. Humans are useful, said one diplomat from the Yalari, but they cannot be allowed to lead. Lila began to notice the change. Invitations to key meetings suddenly stopped. Important votes were delayed. Decisions she helped shape were mysteriously reversed. Something was happening behind the scenes. She tried to talk to allies. She reached out to old friends in the council, but doors were closing. And then came the first real sign of betrayal. A report was leaked to the public, claiming that Earth had secretly built illegal weapons. The evidence was fake, but it spread fast. Protests broke out across several alien worlds. Accusations flew. Trade deals were paused. Lila knew the truth. Someone had framed Earth. Someone wanted to slow humanity down. She called for a full investigation. She demanded answers, but the council refused. Instead, they announced a new rule. Any species that gained too much influence too quickly would be reviewed, and possibly removed. The message was clear. Humans had risen too far, too fast. And now, the galaxy was starting to push back. What's next? This was only the beginning. Humanity had proven itself in the stars. They had shown courage, intelligence, and strength. But now they faced a new challenge, not from enemies outside, but from those who once called themselves allies. Would they survive in a galaxy that feared their rise, or would they choose a new path than one that no species had dared take before? Only time would tell. After the storm was stopped and Earth saved countless lives, things didn't go back to normal, not for humans, and not for the Galactic Council. At first, there were celebrations. Humans were praised across the galaxy. Commander Jax Renner became a hero. Ambassador Lila Voss was invited to more meetings than ever before. But behind closed doors, something else was happening. The older species, the ones who had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, began to worry. Humans were too fast, too bold. They broke rules without meaning to. They made friends with species that had been enemies for centuries, and worst of all, they kept winning. Some leaders whispered that Earth was dangerous, not because they wanted war, but because they wanted change, and change, in the old order, was not welcome. The hidden rules. One day, Lila received a message from her contact on the planet Tharnax. He was an old friend, once one of Earth's strongest allies. He asked her to meet in secret. They met in a quiet corner of the Council's space station, far from cameras and microphones. "You need to be careful," he said, his voice low. "There are those who want to stop you." Lila frowned. "Why? We've done nothing wrong." "That's what worries them," he replied. "You keep rising. You keep proving us wrong, and now they're afraid." She didn't understand at first, but soon she saw it with her own eyes. Meetings she used to attend were suddenly private. Important votes were held without her. Decisions that had taken weeks now happened overnight, and always against Earth's interests. Then came the new rule. The Council passed a law that said any species that gained too much power too quickly could be reviewed, and possibly removed from the Council. It was written like it applied to everyone, but everyone knew who it was meant for. Galaxy divided back on Earth, people started noticing the change. Trade routes slowed. Supplies from friendly planets became harder to get. Some alien businesses refused to work with human companies. Protests began. "Humanity deserves equal rights," cried students in the streets. "We helped save your worlds," shouted workers outside the Galactic embassy. On social networks, videos spread of humans being treated unfairly across the galaxy. One showed a human pilot being denied entry to a docking station, while aliens walked right in. Another video showed a human colony asking for help during a disaster, only to be ignored. Lila tried to speak out. She called for fairness. She reminded the Council of its founding values, but her words fell on deaf ears. The older species stayed silent. Some even supported the new laws. Only a few spoke up for Earth. A young leader from the planet Yalari named Tovar sent a message to Lila. "I believe in what you stand for, but I fear the galaxy is not ready for it." The leak that changed everything. Then, everything changed again. A leak. Not just any leak. A full data dump from inside the HFY Galactic Council itself. It showed secret messages between high-ranking officials. Messages that proved what many had suspected. Some members of the Council had been working together to limit Earth's influence. One message read, "We cannot allow humans to grow stronger. If they gain more seats, we lose control." Another said as Earth must be watched. Their independence is a threat to stability. The leak spread like fire. Across the galaxy, humans and their supporters were furious. On Earth, the government called an emergency meeting. In space, colonies demanded answers. Even among other species, voices began to rise. "This is not justice," said a group of Tharnak scientists. "This is fear dressed as politics." For the first time in history, the Galactic Council faced real doubt from its own people, and at the center of it all stood Lila Voss. A choice must be made. Lila sat, alone in her office, looking out at the stars. She had spent years fighting for peace, for unity, for progress. Now she wasn't sure if the Council believed in any of those things anymore. Her staff urged her to act, to fight back, to demand justice. But she knew this was bigger than one ambassador, bigger than one planet. She needed to decide. Stay and try to fix things from the inside, or walk away and build something new. She called a meeting with the top leaders of Earth. "We have two choices," she said. "We can keep trying to make the Council fairer, or we can prepare for the day when we leave it." Silence filled the room. One general spoke first. "If we leave, we lose protection, trade, alliances." Another added, "But if we stay and do nothing, we become slaves to a broken system." Lila looked around the table. "I don't know what the right answer is," she admitted. "But I do know this. We cannot pretend everything is fine when it's not." The breaking point: the next week, the Council held a vote on resource distribution. It was a simple decision: where to send food and supplies after a recent asteroid strike on a distant world. Earth had offered help, so had several other species, but the vote ended in a tie. That meant the tiebreaker would be used, a rare rule that gave the oldest member of the Council the final say. That member was High Elder Ralzek of the Zalari. Everyone waited, and then came the decision. The aid would go to another planet, not the one in danger, but one that had strong ties to the old powers. Earth's offer was rejected. Gasps filled the chamber. Lila stood up slowly. "This isn't about saving lives," she said. "It's about keeping control." No one answered, but the truth hung in the air like smoke. The storm begins. When Lila returned to Earth, the protest had grown. People chanted her name, demanded action. Some wanted to leave the Council immediately. Others still believed in fixing it, but the damage was done. The trust was gone. Across human space, messages flew between colonies. Plans were made. Defenses were strengthened. Something was coming. And this time, it wouldn't be a storm of energy. It would be a storm of choice. What comes next? The Galactic Council had seen many changes over the centuries. Wars had come and gone. Species had risen and fallen. But never before had a species challenged the very idea of the Council itself. Never before had a young race stood up and said, "We deserve better." And now, the question remained, would humanity fight to change the system from within, or would they choose to walk away and face the stars alone? Only time would tell. The galaxy was holding its breath. After the tie-breaking vote that denied Earth's aid package, things didn't just get worse. They exploded. Across human colonies, people were angry. Not just angry, hurt, betrayed, and ready to act. For years, humans had played by the rules of the Galactic Council. They had saved lives, made peace between ancient enemies, and helped build a better future. But now it felt like none of that mattered. They weren't seen as equals. They were seen as a problem. The debate on Earth back home, Earth's leaders, gathered for an emergency meeting. It was held in the United Nations Space Assembly Hall, a huge dome built above the clouds, where Earth's top scientists, diplomats, and military leaders met to decide the fate of the planet. Everyone was there. President Elena Ruiz stood at the center. She was known for being calm under pressure, but today even she looked tired. "This is not just about one vote," she said. "This is about how we are treated across the galaxy." Ambassador Lila Voss stood beside her. "We have two choices," she said clearly. "We can stay in the Galactic Council and fight for our place, or we can walk away." Silence filled the room. Some leaders gasped. Others shook their heads. "Walk away?" asked General Marcus Cade. "That would mean losing all our alliances. Our trade routes, our protection." Lila nodded. "I know, but I also know this, like we're already losing something bigger. We're losing our dignity." A scientist named Dr. Amina Joe raised her hand. "If we leave," she asked, "what happens to our colonies, to the people living outside Earth?" "They'll be vulnerable," admitted Lila. "But maybe that's better than pretending everything is okay when it's not." Voices from the people outside, the halls of power, regular people were already speaking out. In the cities of New York, Tokyo, Nairobi, Rio de Janeiro, and Cape Town, protests grew every day. People held signs that read, "Equal voice or no voice. We saved your world, so why don't you trust us?" "Earth stands alone." Students organized online debates. Soldiers held secret meetings. Even farmers and factory workers joined the conversation. One video went viral across the UAE. Galaxy Audit showed a young girl named Maya, no older than 12, standing in front of a crowd. She said, "My parents work hard every day to help others. We've never hurt anyone, so why do they treat us like we don't belong?" Her words touched millions. Even some aliens began to question the Council's actions. Friends and foes. Not everyone agreed with leaving the Galactic Council. Some Earth leaders still believed in diplomacy. They wanted to fix things from within. "There's always hope," said Minister Tariq Khan. "If we walk away now, we lose any chance to change the system." Others argued differently. "This isn't about changing the system," said Commander Jax Renner, the hero who had shut down the energy storm. "It's about surviving in a system that doesn't want us." Meanwhile, messages came in from other species. Some were sad. "We will miss your voice," wrote a group of Tharnak scholars. Some were cold. "You made your choice," said a Yalari diplomat. "Now live with it." And some were hopeful. "Maybe it's time for new stars to rise," sent a young leader from the planet Draylan. The final vote. After weeks of debate, Earth's Planetary Council made a decision. They called it the Independence Summit. The most important meeting in human history. Every major colony was linked through hologram. Billions watched around the world. President Ruiz stood up. "We have listened to our people," she said. "To our leaders. To our hearts." She paused. "And today we make a choice." Then she pressed a button. On the screen behind her, 2 options appeared. Stay in the Galactic Council. Declare independence. The voting began, colony by colony. The votes came in. New Mars voted yes to independence. Europa Base voted yes. Titan Station voted yes. Earth itself voted yes. When the EI final count was tallied, the result was clear. Humanity chose to leave the Galactic Council. The announcement that shook the galaxy. The next day, Ambassador Lila Voss stood before the galaxy. She wore her official uniform. Her face was calm. Her voice was strong. She spoke from Earth's main spaceport with flags of human colonies flying behind her. "My name is Lila Voss," she began, "and I speak for all of humanity." She took a breath. For many years, we believed in the Galactic Council. We believed in unity, in fairness, in progress. But we have been ignored, misrepresented, betrayed. She looked directly into the camera. "So today we make a new path." She raised a piece of paper. "Effective immediately, Earth and all human colonies are declaring full independence from the Galactic Council." Gasps echoed across the galaxy. Some alien worlds cheered. Others fell silent. Many couldn't believe it. Humans, the youngest members, had walked away. The aftermath. The first hours after the announcement were chaos. Trade ships stopped, mid-journey. AI systems froze. Communication lines between Earth and the Council were cut. On Earth, people celebrated. Some cried. Others prepared for war. General Cade ordered full defense readiness. "We don't know how the Council will react," he warned. "We must be ready." But nothing happened. No attack, no demand, just silence. A new identity. Slowly, a new feeling spread among humans. Pride. They had made their own choice. They had stood up for themselves, and now they were free. Posters began appearing across colonies. "Humanity stands alone. Our future is our own. From Earth to the stars." Schools taught new lessons about independence. Songs were written, monuments were planned, and for the first time since joining the Galactic Council, humans felt truly in control of their destiny. What comes next? But freedom came with risks. Without the Council, Earth had no protection, no allies to call on, no shared technology, only themselves. And somewhere, deep in space, the Galactic Council was watching. Some species saw Earth's exit as a mistake. Others saw it as a warning. What happens to a galaxy when its youngest member decides to go its own way? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. Humanity had left the Council. And now, they were walking alone into the stars. The day Earth left the Galactic Council, the stars didn't stop shining. The planets kept spinning. Life went on. But something had changed. Deep in space, across thousands of worlds, people felt it like a cold wind. The silence that followed when a voice was gone. For centuries, the Galactic Council had held everything together. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. Trade flowed smoothly. Peace was kept, most of the time. And when things broke, someone always fixed them. That someone had often been human. Now they were gone, and the cracks began to show. The first signs within hours, trade routes started failing. Ships from Earth used to carry supplies between distant colonies. They delivered medicine, food, fuel, and technology. Without them, some planets found themselves cut off. One of the first to feel the pain was the colony world of New Korath. A mining planet with little farmland, it relied heavily on Earth for food shipments. When the last Earth cargo ship left, panic spread. "We're going to starve," said one local leader. "We can't grow enough." On another world, Tharnax, Prime Sur, factories ground to a halt. They had depended on human engineers to keep their machines running. Now no one knew how to fix them. Across the galaxy, similar stories played out. Without humans, the system was breaking down. Systems shut down. It wasn't just trade. The Galactic Council had built a network of AI-run defense systems to protect member worlds. These systems were created with human help, designed by Earth's top scientists, programmed by human minds. But now those same systems began to fail. Some shut down completely, others malfunctioned. In the Uzilari Belt, a group of asteroids rich in rare metals, an old defense satellite suddenly turned on nearby ships. It mistook them for enemies and fired. Dozens died before anyone could stop it. On the ocean planet, Nymar, sea defenses failed. Without proper maintenance from Earth-trained techs, giant waves began to flood coastal cities. No one knew what to do. Back at the Galactic Council, leaders argued, this wouldn't have happened if humans were still here, said one diplomat. Another snapped back. They left us, we don't need them. But deep down, many weren't so sure. Pirates take over with Earth gone. There was no one to stop the pirates. For years, human warships had patrolled the outer edges of space. They protected trade lanes, hunted raiders, kept order. Now, the patrol stopped. Almost overnight, crime exploded. Pirate groups that had once stayed hidden now roamed freely. They attacked supply ships, captured colonies, demanded tribute. The Red Vultures, a feared pirate gang, launched a surprise attack on Europa Station, a major trading hub near Jupiter. They took control in less than a day. On rape by Titan Base, workers barricaded themselves inside as rumors spread of incoming raiders. Even on Earth, people began to worry. We gave up more than we realized, said General Marcus Cade. We thought we'd be free, but freedom comes with danger. Former allies turn away. As chaos grew, some former allies tried to help. A small group of Tharnak scientists reached out to Earth, offering to share knowledge and rebuild lost systems. But the Galactic Council blocked them. You cannot work with a species that has betrayed us, said High Elder Ralzek of the Zilari. Other alien nations began to close their borders. They stopped sending aid, refused to trade. Earth was alone. Even the few aliens who still believed in friendship couldn't act without risking punishment from the Council. Ambassador Lila Voss watched it all unfold. She stood on the balcony of her office looking out at the stars. I wanted change, she whispered. Not this. Behind her, Commander Jax Renner walked in. This is what they wanted, he said. They wanted us to fail. Lila turned to him. But why? Why would they destroy the whole galaxy just to prove a point? Jack shook his head. Because they're afraid. Afraid of what we've become. Afraid of what we might become next. The fall of unity back at the Galactic Council, meetings became tense. Leaders argued over what to do. Some wanted to restore old systems. Others wanted to build new ones. No one agreed. And while they debated, the galaxy continued to fall apart. Planets once united under peace now turned on each other. Old wars flared up again. The Yalari and the Tharnaks, once close allies, nearly came to blows over disputed territory. The Drellonians, known for their peaceful ways, closed their borders and refused to speak to anyone. Korath Prime. Riots broke out. People blamed the government for letting Earth leave. Across the galaxy, fear spread faster than any disease. Without humans, the balance was gone. Earth rebuilds. While the galaxy burned, Earth began to change. At first, it was hard. People were scared. Resources were limited. Trade was almost gone. But humans are nothing if not resilient. President Elena Ruiz called for unity. We made our choice, she told the people. Now we make it strong. Scientists worked day and night to fix broken systems. Engineers rebuilt lost networks. Farmers increased production to feed the growing population. Commander Jax Renner led efforts to strengthen Earth's defenses. We may be alone, he said, but we are not helpless. Colony leaders on Mars, Europa, and Titan sent messages of support. "We stand with Earth," said the governor of New Mars. "Together we will rise again." Slowly, hope returned. A galaxy in ruins, but while Earth began to heal, the rest of the galaxy continued to break. Without humans, the Galactic Council struggled to make decisions. Votes failed. Alliances crumbled. Communication broke down. Even the oldest species began to wonder if they had made a mistake. High Elder Ralzek looked out at the stars and whispered, "We thought we were protecting the galaxy." Then he added softly, "But maybe we destroyed it instead." What comes next? The galaxy was falling apart. Humanity had left. The Galactic Council was failing, and the stars, once full of promise, now seemed darker than ever. But somewhere, deep in space, a new idea was beginning to take shape. What if Earth didn't need the Council? What if they could build something better, sun on their own? The answer lay ahead, but first, they had to survive. Years passed. The galaxy was still broken. The Galactic Council had become slow, confused, and divided. Without humans to push for progress, old traditions returned. Trade routes were unstable. Wars flared up between species that had once been peaceful. But on Earth and its colonies, something different was happening. Something powerful. Humanity wasn't just surviving. They were thriving. Building from scratch, at first, life without the Galactic Council was hard. Earth lost access to advanced alien technology. Food supplies from other planets stopped. Defense systems needed rebuilding. And many people feared they would fall behind. But instead of giving up, humans did what they always did best. They adapted. Scientists worked day and night to improve old tech. Engineers created new machines. Farmers used smart farming techniques to grow more food with less land. Commander Jax Renner led the creation of a new space defense force, built entirely by humans, for humans. "We don't need permission," he told his team. "We don't need approval. We just need each other." And slowly, piece by piece, Earth rebuilt itself. The rise of the human sphere. As Earth grew stronger, so did its colonies. Mars became a center for research and innovation. Titan Base turned into a hub for deep space exploration. Europa Station was refitted as a military base and trade port. A new network of human-controlled space stations and ships began to form. People started calling it the human sphere, a group of worlds connected not by politics or ancient rules, but by shared goals and trust. Unlike the Galactic Council, which moved slowly and carefully, the human sphere made decisions fast. They launched missions quickly, built new cities in months, shared knowledge freely. They weren't perfect. There were disagreements. Mistakes were made. But one thing never changed. They kept moving forward. New technology. New hope. With no limits from the Galactic Council, human scientists went further than ever before. They developed new kinds of AI, smarter, faster, and more helpful than anything seen before. They built better energy sources, clean, limitless power that could run entire cities without pollution. They even discovered ways to grow food in space, using special labs that mimicked Earth's soil and sunlight. One of the biggest breakthroughs came from Dr. Amina Jo, who created a new kind of medicine that could heal injuries in days instead of weeks. She called it Regen. It spread across human colonies like fire, saving lives, ending diseases, and making humans healthier than ever. Soon, other species began to take notice. Rumors. Across the stars, despite being cut off, some aliens still watched Earth, some out of fear, others out of hope. Rumors spread through the galaxy about what humans were doing. "They're building their own empire," said one Zalari diplomat. "They've found new ways to travel faster than light," whispered a Yalari trader. "They're becoming gods," warned a Tharnax general. These stories weren't all true, but they carried a message. Humanity was rising again, and this time, they weren't asking for permission. A message that changed everything. One day, A message arrived at Earth's main spaceport. It wasn't from an enemy. It was from someone unexpected. Tovar, the young leader from Yalari who had once supported Earth during the crisis. His message was short but powerful. "We see what you are doing. We admire it. We want to learn from you." Lila Voss read the message twice. Then she smiled. This was the moment everything changed. Humans had spent years trying to be accepted by the Galactic Council. Now others were coming to them, not as rulers, but as students. The first new alliance. After long discussions, Earth agreed to talk with Tovar's people. They met in secret, far from the eyes of the Galactic Council. Tovar arrived with a small team of scientists and diplomats. He looked nervous. "I know we didn't support you when you left," he said. "I know many of my people still believe you betrayed us." He paused. "But I don't think that anymore." Lila studied him. "What do you want?" she asked. "To work together," he said. "Not under the Galactic Council, not as enemies, but as equals." For the first time since leaving, Lila felt something she hadn't expected. Hope. The future begins. In the years that followed, more species reached out. Some wanted to trade, others wanted to learn. A few even asked if they could join the BI's human sphere. Earth didn't rush into anything. They knew that trust had to be earned, but slowly, carefully, they began to build something new. Not a replacement for the Galactic Council. Something better. A network of free worlds, of shared ideas, of bold action, and at the heart of it all, humanity. Lessons learned. Back on Earth, President Elena Ruiz gave a speech. She stood in front of millions of people, looking out at the stars. "We were once told we didn't belong," she said. "That we were too young, too emotional, too dangerous." She smiled. "But now look at us." Behind her, a giant screen showed images of Mars, Titan, and distant colonies. "Sometimes," she continued, "you have to walk alone to find your strength. And now," she said, raising her voice, "we are ready to walk with others, not as followers, but as leaders." The crowd roared. What happens next? Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council still exists, but it's weaker than before. Old species argue over power. Young ones grow tired of waiting for change. And somewhere, in the cold dark of space, a new idea is growing. A dream of unity. Not forced by rules or laws, but built by choice. Built by those who believe in progress. Built by those who dare to dream. Built by humans. And maybe, just maybe, the greatest age of the galaxy has only just begun.